Sup everybody, this is Karak with ACG, and today I'm bringing you another review for another system for another day at the speed of embargo. Today's title is the puzzling space opera platforming game known as Turing Test for Xbox One and PC. A magnets magneting and doors dooring style puzzle platforming game where you're faced with a series of more and more complex puzzles using your patented Duracell quick charge, quick discharge energy gun as you uncover what happened on the ISA Europa mission. As always, if you like the video, maybe subscribe. So here's the review for Turing Test. Robotic Jeremy Irons, energy-based Portal gameplay, and the world's worst space coworkers. And graphics are up first. You know, there's something really beautiful here. You're roaming around the space station with its clean, almost hospital-like sanitary aesthetic, a callback to titles like 2001 and 2010. But then sometimes, beneath it all, you can see the workings and the manufactured origins of the mechanical complex itself. It's an expert treatise on offering a mystery through graphical presentation. A person's eyes are drawn into the rooms in their uniform-like presentations, but as your eyes track along walls or near doors, you might see something that looks more like you would expect at a car factory. It's rare, but it does a service of keeping the brain engaged across the visual spectrum, something that many times the padded wall-like looks of futuristic environments don't always do. While it is a clean-looking game and in some areas would even be called bare bones, the processing effects and overall level design do a really good job covering most of that up. There's that moment when you land on Europa, the Antarctica, the solar system, its frozen waste almost beckoning you to go for a little life-ending jaunt, or the first time you see a new puzzle piece in a room and your brain just immediately begins churning, trying to figure out what to do with it and where. But unfortunately, not everything is perfect, because you're basically playing Chromatic Aberration, the game. Seriously, it's all over the place, smeared like a metallic jelly. But as with Headlander and other titles, it does fit the overall look of the game, even if today's version of Impossible Lens Flare crops up far too many times. Now that being said, there is a massive number of options to play with in the graphics, and levels of graphics include things like excellent field of view options, multiple levels of post-processing, and of course the more mundane things that you would expect. Also, the game actually really ran incredibly well all the way down to the 870M on the gaming laptop, which was able to get a good, excellent frame rate with just a few changes to some of those options. I would say an overall good-looking game, if a bit bare bones, but let's be honest, that's what they're trying to present here. Sound, music, and voice.
The base has changed.
What do you mean?
The base was originally constructed as modules to withstand the seismic activity in and around Thera Macula. It appears the ground team have manipulated these modules. The base was built initially by machines. I served as the mind of these operations. I arrived first on Europa in 2240.
Let's change it up a bit. Sound is up first, and actually, it's pretty good. Let's be honest, most of the time you're listening to Ava hot-step her way across electrified Halo-powered bridges, or shooting her energy-sucking gun, or something like that. Or the swish of a door, or sometimes the almost alien airiness and ghostly hum of specific rooms. But that's the minimalistic style of the game, not a problem with the sound. The sound does its job and parts its sonic envelope pretty well and gives you a feeling of being there. It also means that when something unique does happen, or when the churning space gears of a questionably placed futuristic thingamajig shows up, it's actually interesting to the ears instantly and really does draw your attention to it. I guess I would say that there could have been more variation in things like the footsteps and gun sounds, but honestly, it doesn't really creep up above barely noticeable. Music. You know, I can't remember the last time a soundtrack almost made me want to run off and join some kind of social group, but the use of really haunting melodies, negative space, and flowing instrumentals means that one second you're hearing nothing but an almost cave-like rush of air moving, accompanied by maybe a single synth. Then the title flows into a piano solo, then fades out completely, only to come back with what sounds like horned instruments played through a filter that's contemplating ending it all. But there are times where a particular track, or some, vastly overstayed their welcome, like a particular piano piece that, though good, continued to crop up multiple times. Now, it's good music, but I would have liked some variation in a couple particular pieces, and if you're prone to depression, have a Bieber song ready, because damn. And of course, that brings us to voice. So there aren't that many for most of the game. As you start, you play as Miss Turing running around the station with a robotic AI that's been split into two pieces, one on the planet and one on your space station, that at times sounds like an artificial Jeremy Irons in doublespeak. As you land, there's an almost palatable feeling of mystery that the voiceover from the AI gives, and I love that. It's not HAL like 2001, which was a questioning, childlike presence. Instead, here the AI is almost noble at first, explaining the situations and positing questions to Ava throughout the entire thing. And I'd say Ava herself is voiced well, a mixture of almost business-like candor and coolness in the presence of situations that would likely send most of us running to the nearest escape hatch. It is a great interplay as the game continues, and there's sort of some change-ups and a duality that you notice, and I really enjoyed that. Elsewhere, the voices are fine as well. Pretty good voice. Gameplay. So, as I said, you start out as Ava Turing, an astronaut in cryosleep who's woken up by the mission's computer and informed something went terribly, terribly wrong. Horrible morning notwithstanding, Ava jumps down to the Europa mission site to find out why contact has gone down between those on the surface and those in the orbiting refrigerator in space. And at times the game can feel a little heavy-handed by doing things like naming the main character Ava Turing and hinting that robots can't solve the puzzles that are set up in the game world, which is a good dichotomy to what you're experiencing as you play through it. But it's also a resource game while pretending not to be. Enter into a room and you see 4 doors, 2 bridges, and something that looks like a laser beam prepared to cut your head off like someone riding one of those medical scooters under a security car gate. Once you see the room, it's your job to use your gun that can take and deliver energy to panels within the game world to open doors, slide bridges, activate systems, and basically work your way through like a rat in history's most expensive maze. It always looks like you have less than you need, a good push-pull of resources and movement that's exceptional, and while there are correlations and patterns that feel cribbed from Portal, Test has enough differences to escape any kind of claim for digital plagiarism, let's say. Now, as you progress, the puzzles that are presented to you become more and more complex, while there are also these cool optional puzzles that are found throughout each level that are usually much harder but have rewards all their own, including the vast feeling of satisfaction of figuring a puzzle out where it looks at first to be fucking impossible. No lie, sometimes you end up entering a room and you say to yourself, why do my coworkers hate me? It's like being plopped down into an inverse Rubik's Cube with nothing but a LiPo battery recharging system to help you out, as you have to charge and empty your batteries into the various different machines. Now, while simple in overall setup, as the puzzles get more and more complex, your need to think in 3 dimensions spreads to 4, as time actually becomes a factor as well. That really was an excellent gameplay addition. But not all is perfect here, unfortunately. In all honesty, the game got very, very repetitive, and even with the continued story breaking out ahead of you and the developers' attempts to sort of shore up some of that monotony with the unique locations that have you reading over crew logs, seeing what they thought about different missions, and uncovering hints about what happened, the core gameplay sort of fell short for me. I mean, there are really times where opening a door by moving resources from one place to the other and controlling the mechanical factors in the level begins to feel like the puzzle right before it. It unfortunately begins to fall very flat far before it ends. Now, I've discussed in gaming design videos that a game is a 2-lane road, gameplay and story, and as long as they both push forward, carrying 100% of the traffic of the gamer forward, you're fine. Gameplay can be 90%, and the story can be 10, 99, and 1. It doesn't really matter as long as they both move and twist and change as you move forward. And most importantly, they don't fall down or stop. Well, here they both do, resulting in times where it feels like you're almost at a standstill, and where the game could have made this a story moment using the AI and your own voiceover to perhaps continue those story elements. Sometimes nothing is happening at all, and your silent protagonist is just standing in a room saying nothing, doing nothing, just looking around trying to figure out how to move block A through a solid friggin' wall, and there's no real movement. It just stops. Because when you think about it, unlike Portal that has a consistent experimental egress, here we have almost nothing because it is a mechanical set of puzzles. They have to be done in a particular way, and so there's that lack of flexibility there. So while the game does present a good amount of time for the gameplay, in the end, it really does fall down. Fun factor. Yeah, as I said, it sort of came up short. While it was fun at first, it fell down too quickly for me, shedding the novelty of both its presentation and its story, resulting in these weird bare-bones moments where I just would have liked something else to occur. Also, while it does share from Portal, the mechanics used are more basic and rote, as I said before, meaning that the flexibility in gameplay isn't really there as much as it was in the other title. And you can really notice that a couple hours in. So as you guys know, I rate games on a buy, wait for sale, rent, or never touched again rating scale. This is definitely a wait for a sale. You know, at $19, it's not a bad price, but in the end, I'm not 100% sure a lot of people are going to want to continue doing these same kind of puzzles, especially because they are technically mechanically based for the most part. And as we all know, a lot of this game is based around the idea and the question Alan Turing asked, which is, can robots think? The game plays with that for various story reasons I won't discuss for the review. But this isn't just a combination of that question and others. It also has a bit of a twist that I really wasn't expecting, and I did enjoy, but in the end, I can't say that others will as well. So anyway, that's it for me. I hope you guys liked the review. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Maybe check out Patreon. Always follow me on Twitter. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Peace out and enjoy the rest of your week.